We feel like we're responding to troll comments from non-vegans under our videos, and we honestly can't believe we're having this discussion with a vegan.
This is one of those videos that we really don't like wasting our time and energy making, but needed to.
We felt it was important to make this video to not only defend ourselves, but also to defend the science.
And the plant-based doctors that work so hard to promote the science that saves people's and animals' lives.
And to defend all other vegan YouTubers who do an amazing job at inspiring and promoting a healthy vegan message.
Today we're responding to Unnatural Vegan. Her name is Swayze.
She recently made a response video to our video, Baby Dies from Vegan Diet, Parents Jailed. She called her video, That Vegan Couple Needs to Stop.
And last year she made a response video to our response video to the celebrity Sarah. She called it, That Vegan Couple is Bad for Veganism.
So what we have here is a woman who in two videos twists, manipulates, nitpicks, lies, discredits, and attempts to character assassinate us.
All the while claiming we need to stop and we're bad for veganism.
Now this is nothing new. Unnatural Vegan has a reputation for making videos about other vegans and condescendingly nitpicking and arguing over vegan diets instead of focusing on debunking non-vegan diets.
Why does she do this? Because it's her point of difference. It makes her stand out and it makes her popular with non-vegans.
After all, she tells them that animal products can be healthy and that meat doesn't cause cancer.
Yep.
The other reason Unnatural Vegan makes videos about other vegans is because of the outstanding views.
Unnatural Vegan's first response to us from last year proved that what people love to watch are vegan on vegan videos.
We have about the same size channel and you can see how many more views you can get doing a vegan on vegan reaction video than a vegan reacting to a non-vegan celebrity like Sarah with almost 1 million subscribers on her YouTube channel.
Her latest response video to us had, brace yourself, 35,500 views in only 23 hours. Our video that she's reacting to had just over 26,500 views in 2 weeks.
And how about almost 50,000 views in just 2 days? At this rate, it will be one of her top viewed videos.
She knows that making vegan on vegan videos is going to get her more clicks. And more YouTube clicks means more YouTube cash.
Last year, we didn't want to respond to Unnatural Vegan's first video about us because we didn't want to feed the troll.
What we did end up doing about a month later is having a recorded interview with Dr. Gregor from nutritionfacts.org about some of the things that Unnatural Vegan accused us of, namely pseudoscience. And we also cleared up how she misrepresented what we say. We do encourage people to watch that video linked below and hear what an actual clinical physician who specializes in nutrition says about the things Unnatural Vegan claims. Here is a short clip.
Doctors suffer a severe nutrition deficiency in education. Most doctors are just never taught. I mean, you both know more than 99% of the doctors out there on nutrition.
Because Unnatural Vegan's first response video to us got so many views, it's always recommended to people.
Yeah, but of course Unnatural Vegan doesn't care what her lies, manipulation and saying we're bad for veganism does to our reputation.
Or how it could potentially turn people away from learning about veganism from us.
Here's an example of what we're talking about. This comment was left on our video interview with Dr. Gregor, which was addressing Unnatural Vegan's first video.
I've just transitioned to being vegan and found your YouTube channel this week. After watching 2 or 3, I found other response videos dishing out the hate for you both, and as I'm new to veganism, I thought I should hear what their arguments were and come to my own conclusion. What can I say? Absolutely ridiculous. People will always find reasons to be jealous or malicious or nitpick and twist things. You've said it all in this video. The science backs up everything you are saying, and I personally think you are both fantastic examples of what looking after your body in the right way can do for you and your health. Please keep up everything you are doing. Haters gonna hate.
So, that set the scene. Let's get started responding to Unnatural Vegan's new video about us.
And we know she won't mind this response because she said herself,
I want to be called out if I do something wrong.
Well, this is your day then. Let's go.
That vegan couple did decide to make a video about it, and I watched that video, and I think there are a lot of concerns here.
No, Swayze, as anyone without your agenda of attempting to discredit us for views and money would see if they watched our video in its entirety, there were no legitimate concerns at all.
But there are a lot of views to be had and AdSense revenue to be made smearing and attempting to discredit that vegan couple, aren't there?
So when you're talking about any sort of case or article or whatever, it's always a good idea to try and go back to the original source.
Did Lad Bible, who wrote the article that we were asked to respond to, do that?
No, they did not, and that's exactly the point we were making in our video.
Lad Bible used and smeared the word vegan for clickbait. You know, the way you do when you make a video smearing other vegans like us?
So this piece that vegan couple is looking at is by LAD Bible.
Again, it's the article that we were sent and asked to respond to.
And according to web analytics site Alexa, Lad Bible is the 12th most popular website in the UK, above more established resources such as LinkedIn, PayPal, and The Guardian.
They do have a quote from the BBC in the article. They don't link to it because this is a great news source, if you can't already tell.
Here, you're cleverly setting up your character assassination of us by insinuating that our video is of concern.
Because the article that we're discussing is not from a reputable news source, when we're not even saying that it is.
In fact, we said the exact opposite. I don't actually believe anything in this article because it's absolute bullshit. They just lie and manipulate.
The point of our video was that we're sick and tired of the media, regardless of the reputation or credibility of the source, smearing the word vegan for clicks.
Just like we're sick and tired of you, Swayze, smearing our name for clicks.
Judge convicts parents after baby dies from vegan diet. Now, when was the last time we read a headline that said judge convicts parents after baby dies from omnivorous diet?
So this wouldn't actually be an issue if that vegan couple were using a more reputable source like the BBC instead of the home of entertainment, viral video, and trending content.
Again, Swayze, it was the article that was sent to us and we were asked to respond to.
At no point did we vouch for the reputation of the source, and in fact we did the exact opposite.
So therefore, there is no issue with what we said, other than the one that you just fabricated in order to discredit us.
And with millions of followers across their various social media platforms and billions of views a month of their content, the issue of whether or not Lad Bible is a reputable news source is irrelevant to the point of our video.
In fact, the vast majority of sources that I found, they did not even put vegan in the headline.
But they're not the article that we were sent. And they're not the articles that are being shoved in vegans' faces by non-vegan family, friends and colleagues.
We are sent articles like this and many, many others and are asked to respond to them so that vegans can forward our videos as a response to the people sending them these ridiculous articles in the first place via social media.
And that's why we responded to this article, because this is what helps our vegan audience. Again, no one is sending them the BBC article without the word vegan in the headline.
The few who did put vegan in the headline were of pretty questionable quality, like Daily Mail and AOL.
Again, the point of our video was not the quality of the source, but rather the deliberate and unnecessary use of the word vegan.
Because it's these articles that are being shoved in vegans' faces, not the ones that don't use the word. Daily Mail has an audience of 33 million people a month, and AOL serves 500 million monthly global consumers.
This is a hell of a lot of people that the word vegan is being smeared to. Now, when was the last time we read a headline that said judge convicts parents after baby dies from omnivorous diet?
And no, I've never seen a headline like baby killed by omnivorous diet. And yes, putting vegan in the headline probably is going to, or is at least an attempt to increase views.
Funny, wasn't that Luca's point exactly?
Now, this is the first in a series of examples where every now and again, in between manipulating and twisting our video with her completely fabricated concerns in order to suit her agenda to attempt to discredit us, Unnatural Vegan agrees with our video so that she can appear to present a balanced and reasonable view. Remember this tactic as we go forward.
But we cannot deny the fact that a large number of vegan babies are ending up malnourished or even dead because of inadequate vegan diets.
Is this a fact? Where are your sources for this large number, Swayze? The media articles like the one we're criticising that you agree probably put vegan in the headline to increase views?
A large number is a relative term, so how can you know if the number of vegan baby deaths is large relative to the number of omnivorous baby deaths?
If you yourself agree that you've never seen a headline like baby killed by omnivorous diet. Tens of thousands of infants die in the US every year.
Surely a rational and logical person like yourself could reason that if vegan infants only represent a tiny fraction of the overall population, then they must also only represent a tiny fraction of overall infant deaths.
And given that animal products have been scientifically linked to the 4th leading cause of infant death in the US, SIDS, as well as the 9th leading cause of infant death in the US, diseases of the circulatory system,
Our point is, why isn't the media investigating these infant deaths and reporting on them with sensational headlines?
Now, as a vegan channel, we have referenced and linked these scientific links in multiple videos on our channel to counter anti-vegan diet media propaganda and raise awareness with non-vegan mothers.
As a vegan channel, have you referenced these specific scientific links between animal products and infant deaths?
And as a vegan channel, why are you making a video in which you're actively fear-mongering about vegan diet baby deaths?
But we cannot deny the fact that a large number of vegan babies are ending up malnourished or even dead because of inadequate vegan diets. This makes the number of sick vegan kids even more shocking.
That sounds like fear-mongering to us.
I know that vegan couple got this source from someone else via tweet.
Exactly. Here's that tactic again. Occasionally agree with us to appear balanced and rational in between manipulating our video to discredit us.
But still, they made the video, and it's really their duty to do better research, before making a video.
Sorry, who the hell do you think you are telling us what our duty is on our own channel? If you're so concerned about this baby's death, why didn't you make your own video taking whatever approach you want? Why are you reacting to this baby's death through our video?
Our duty is to the 2,000 innocent animals who are slaughtered worldwide every second and who are counting on activists like us and others to counter sensational anti-vegan diet media headlines that smear a vegan diet to millions, if not billions of people, and in doing so help to keep those innocent baby animals having their throats slit.
And at the same time, we take care of our fellow humans by providing viewers with the references for the science that supports a healthy vegan diet. Source out a plant-based doctor, do some research. Go to PCRM. We're going to link some pages down below that specifically help parents with what do they eat during pregnancy, what do they feed their baby and their infant and child at all different stages of their life and development on a plant-based diet. So the information is out there. That's the thing. In 2017, this is the beauty of it. It's all out there. We just have to be proactive and look into these things.
Otherwise, it just seems like they're going after low-hanging fruit and like they're trying to find the worst case possible.
No, that's just what you're manipulating your viewers to think. We were just responding to the article we were sent.
Ironically, you're going after low-hanging fruit by responding to this case via our video instead of making your own video with your own sources.
To build a big conspiracy against vegans as they do later on.
The media does have an anti-vegan diet agenda, which you would have learned if you'd watched the videos we referenced and linked in our video, instead of mocking us with a patronizing snigger and roll of your eyes.
So here's a little taster.
As many of you know, recently Cosmopolitan released an article bashing on vegetarian diets. The Hearst Corporation is the largest cattle operation since the 1800s. So what does any of this actually have to do with a Cosmopolitan article? Most people know that the media, magazines, TV shows, movies are owned by large companies. What they don't know is who these companies are. Cosmopolitan is actually owned by the Hearst Corporation, which again is the largest cattle company since the late 1800s. So now it's pretty easy to see why Cosmopolitan is publishing an article bashing on vegetarian diets. But that's not all. The Hearst Corporation also owns Bazaar, 17 Magazine, the Oprah Magazine, and countless others, which all push high-protein, beef, low-carb, calorie-restricting diets. The Hearst Corporation also owns national news outlets, which they use to lie to the public to boost shareholder profits for big beef and dairy.
How many children die in the world because of health-related issues, diet-related issues? It's a lot more than 1%.
And what are they all doing? 99% of them are eating an omnivorous diet.
Yeah.
You never see those headlines though. It reminds me very much of when they went after the vegan who died whilst climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
They never made articles about all the vegans who have successfully climbed Mount Everest.
It's kind of amazing to me that they're trying to compare a case that had nothing to do with diet, someone dying on Mount Everest due to altitude sickness who just happened to be vegan, and a case that literally has everything to do with diet.
We're comparing them because we're comparing the headlines. What you wanted our video to be about is not what we wanted to make our video about.
Just because you don't like the comparison and the angle, bad luck. That is of no concern to us. Make your own video.
Ironically, perhaps if you'd actually read the article we referenced, you wouldn't have been so amazed, Swayze, and you'd have seen that the cases are indeed comparable in that insufficient calories can contribute to the risk of death from altitude sickness. What's said in this article about calories sounds awfully similar to what we said in our video.
Apparently the vegan diet led to undernourishment and organ failure. This baby weighed 9 pounds at the time of his death. which is at least 7 pounds underweight. It doesn't matter what the diet is. You know, if you're not feeding the child enough food, then they're going to be underweight. So we don't know how much these parents were feeding their child or not.
You can argue that the headlines, including the word vegan, that they're a little bit clickbaity. You know, again, a vegan diet done right is healthy for kids, so it's not quite fair to paint it as though vegan is inherently unhealthy, even if at the end of the article they do say, well, actually, it can be done right with planning, right? Yeah, it's a little bit unfair.
Here's that tactic again.
So Swayze, you've just agreed with the main point of our video. And again, it's more than a little bit unfair to the billions of innocent baby animals that continue to have their throats slit because anti-vegan diet propaganda like this by the media misleads people to believe that a vegan diet is unhealthy.
It's not certain that the parents were vegan or that this had anything to do with veganism proper.
Here's that tactic again.
But again, a large number of kids are becoming permanently injured or even dead because of the vegan diets that their parents are feeding them.
There you go again with that anti-vegan diet fear-mongering. You know, you sound exactly like these media articles with their anti-vegan diet propaganda.
It's not the vegan diet, it's bad parenting. And again, what is the source of these large numbers?
I think that this is what we should be focused on, not the headlines.
So make a video on it. Why waste your time criticizing us for the angle we chose to take?
Make your own video with whatever angle you think is most important.
We don't agree with the angle that you take in the majority of your videos, but we wouldn't waste our time nitpicking and attempting to debunk you.
No, we just make a video from our angle on whatever the topic is. This baby weighed 9 pounds at the time of his death, which is at least 7 pounds underweight. It doesn't matter what the diet is. You know, if you're not feeding the child enough food, then they're going to be underweight.
But it does matter what the diet is. And this is really, I don't think they know what they're talking about here, and it's very misleading and potentially very dangerous.
Misleading, talk about projection, and with her trademark condescending snicker no less.
This is where Unnatural Vegans' campaign to discredit us really steps up a notch, and her nitpicking game is strong.
If you don't say everything precisely as she would, she'll be on it.
And this was not a scripted video, so it's difficult to cover all bases and say everything perfectly in the moment. Sure, in hindsight, I should have added 4 words to if you're not feeding your child enough food from the right sources.
But the comment wasn't anywhere near as dire as Unnatural Vegan makes out. What Natasha meant was, it doesn't matter if the diet is vegan or not.
If you're not feeding the child enough food, then they're going to be underweight.
That is, the baby could have been equally underweight if it wasn't being fed enough calories on a non-vegan diet, and therefore they didn't have to put vegan diet in the headline. Again, this was one of the main points of our video.
We never once said that what the parents were feeding the baby was appropriate, and yet we do say at various points what are appropriate sources of calories for babies.
The healthiest food for a baby, of course, is the mother's breast milk, right?
If they're vegan parents, why would they have given the baby a cow's milk-based formula? They would have given him a soy formula, a plant-based formula. It doesn't make sense. Why did they not give him a soy-based formula? Go to PCRM. We're going to link some pages down below that specifically help parents with what do they eat during pregnancy, what do they feed their baby and their infant and child at all different stages of their life and development on a plant-based diet.
So once again, Unnatural Vegan twisted and manipulated our video to fabricate concerns in an attempt to discredit us. I just wanted to point out there, the figures came from the US CDC, an organisation which promotes healthy lifestyles and methods of preventing illness.
They must be vegan then.
They're obviously promoting a whole foods plant-based diet in that case, aren't they? Because that's the only diet that's ever been shown to reverse our #1 killer, heart disease.
Okay, so this part is going to seem like I'm getting a little bit off track, but I promise it's very, very important. So first, they say the CDC, implying that the CDC does not promote a whole food plant-based diet. But is that actually true? Okay, so first, according to Forks Over Knives, a whole food plant-based diet is a diet based on fruits, vegetables, tubers, whole grains, and legumes, and it excludes or minimizes meat, including chicken and fish, dairy products and eggs, as well as highly refined foods like bleached flour, refined sugar, and oil. So, according to the CDC, this is their healthy eating page. According to them, a healthy eating plan is one that emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and fat-free or low-fat milk and milk products, includes lean meats, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts, is low in saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, salt, and added sugars, and stays within your daily calorie needs. This actually is essentially plant-based. Yes, they do encourage eggs and low-fat meats and milk, but they also say that you should eat a low amount of saturated fat and cholesterol. And in order to do that, you have to eat mostly plants. And they also say, low in salt and added sugars, which means that you also have to eat mostly whole foods.
Here, Unnatural Vegan attempts to further discredit us by insinuating that we're lying when we point out the fact that the CDC does not promote a whole foods plant-based diet.
So let's directly compare the guidelines and we'll clearly see that, as we accurately stated, they do not.
So the Forks Over Knives guidelines for a whole food plant-based diet exclude or minimise dairy products, whilst the CDC guidelines emphasise fat-free or low-fat milk and milk products. These are clearly not the same thing.
And the Forks Over Knives guidelines exclude or minimise meat, including chicken and fish, and eggs, whilst the CDC includes lean meats, poultry, fish, and eggs. Again, these are clearly not the same thing, and Unnatural Vegan acknowledges this.
Yes, they do encourage eggs and low-fat meats and milk.
Exactly.
But they also say that you should eat a low amount of saturated fat and cholesterol. And in order to do that, you have to eat mostly plants.
2 points here. Firstly, as we said in our video, the CDC gets its dietary guidelines from the USDA, which has the gross conflict of interest of also promoting animal products. And the USDA only included the low cholesterol guideline after a year-long campaign by PCRM.org, including petitions, oral testimony, billboards, and threat of legal action to stop industry's efforts to remove cholesterol warnings from the guidelines. In February 2015, the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, the DGAC, recommended dropping limits on dietary cholesterol, motivated by industry pressure, according to documents received by PCRM under the Freedom of Information Act. The documents revealed a money trail from the American Egg Board to universities where DGAC members were employed and persistent industry pressure to weaken cholesterol limits.
But what do we know? We're conspiracy theorists, right? To learn more about the USDA conflict of interest and egg industry lies and corruption, we recommend watching these two videos. Secondly, as PCRM noted,
in urging Americans to cut their cholesterol, the guidelines should not have recommended cholesterol-containing seafood, lean meats, poultry and eggs as part of a healthy eating pattern. The guidelines also recommend limiting saturated fat, but again cause confusion by recommending meat and dairy products, the leading sources of saturated fat in the American diet.
Not to mention the fact that the USDA guidelines also state that choices within these eating patterns may include processed meats.
As PCRM noted, this blatantly ignores the dire health consequences of consuming processed meats, carcinogens that the WHO recently placed in the same category as cigarettes and asbestos.
What can we expect next from the rational, unnatural vegan? Are you going to defend processed meats?
By nitpicking over its lower cancer risk relative to cigarettes and asbestos, how many grams of processed meats could theoretically be eaten to minimize cancer risk and remain within the USDA dietary guidelines?
And finally, Unnatural Vegan chose the Forks Over Knives guidelines for a whole foods plant-based diet, when in actual fact the whole foods diet guidelines that we were specifically referring to were those that Dr. Corwald Esselstyn administered to his patients to reverse their heart disease in the study we showed.
And they did not include any animal products whatsoever, and therefore are not the same as the Forks Over Knives guidelines, let alone the CDC guidelines that allow for animal products, including processed meats.
Again, how many times can Unnatural Vegan twist and manipulate our video to fabricate concerns in an attempt to discredit us?
There's no doubt that if people ate the way the CDC describes, like if this became the new just standard American diet, that there would be serious drops in obesity, diabetes, heart disease, probably cancer too.
We never said otherwise, but that doesn't make animal products healthy.
To imply, as that vegan couple and so many vegans do, that the only way to be healthy is to eat a vegan diet is total nonsense.
Firstly, we don't promote a vegan diet as healthy. We promote a low-fat, whole foods vegan diet as healthy.
And secondly, we guess it depends on what your definition of healthy is. For us, our definition of healthy is to be heart attack proof.
Late last year, a landmark review was published on the cause of our #1 killer by Dr. William Clifford Roberts. First of all, who is this guy? The head of Baylor's Cardiovascular Institute, he's authored a mere 1,387 scientific publications, written more than a dozen textbooks on cardiology, and has been the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology for 25 years. Well then, what is the cause of atherosclerosis? Well, first of all, doesn't he mean causes, though? I mean, there's lots of things that increase our risk of heart disease: hypertension, diabetes, obesity, inactivity, cigarette smoking. None of that matters, he says, unless we have high cholesterol. All those things can speed the buildup of plaque in our arteries, but if our cholesterol level is low enough, there's nothing our body can build the plaque with. If cholesterol is the cause of atherosclerosis, how low does one's cholesterol have to become heart attack proof? Ideally, our bad cholesterol, LDL, should be under 70. There are only two ways, he says, to get it down that low: put 100 million people on a lifetime of high-dose statin drugs starting in one's 20s, or be what he calls a pure vegetarian fruit eater, which is just what he calls those eating whole foods vegan diets. In his words in a recent interview, the best way to prevent heart disease is to be a non-flesh eater, a non-saturated fat eater. So, according to probably the most renowned cardiovascular pathologist in the world, that means the cause of our #1 killer is not eating vegan.
A well-planned plant-based diet with minimal amounts of meat, particularly if that meat is like fish versus red or processed meat, is likely not significantly different from a well-planned vegan diet.
We're sorry, we're confused. Is this an advertisement for animal products by a vegan? Because it sure as hell sounds like one.
And sure, let's encourage fish consumption, which contains cholesterol, which increases heart disease risk, is high in methionine, which is linked to cancer growth, is a leading source of industrial pollutants such as mercury, dioxins, neurotoxins, arsenic, DDT, putrescine, AGEs, PCBs, PDBs, alkylphenol, endocrine disruptors, and even prescription drugs that end up in rivers and streams. Wow, so healthy. Are we living in the twilight zone?
So an example of the type of diet that includes minimal animal products that Unnatural Vegan is referring to would be the Mediterranean diet. So how does a Mediterranean diet compare to a whole foods plant-based diet?
But at the end of about 4 years, in the control group, 44 individuals had a second heart attack, either fatal or non-fatal, but only 14 suffered another attack in the group that changed their diet. So they went from having like a 4% chance of having a heart attack every year down to like 1%. Now, a cynic might say, yes, less death and disease, but the Mediterranean diet continued to feed their heart disease, so much so that 14 of them suffered new heart attacks while on the diet. Now, their disease progressed a lot less than the regular diet group, about 4 times less, but what if there was a diet that could stop or reverse heart disease? Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and colleagues at the Cleveland Clinic recently published a case series of 198 consecutive patients with cardiovascular disease counseled to switch to a diet composed entirely of whole plant foods. Of the 198, 177 stuck to the diet, whereas the other 21 fell off the wagon, setting up kind of a natural experiment. What happened to the 21? This was such a sick group of patients that more than half suffered from like a fatal heart attack or needed angioplasty or a heart transplant. In the same time period of about 4 years, of the 177 that stuck to the plant-based diet, only 1 had a major event as a result of worsening disease. Not half, but less than 1%. As Dean Ornish noted in his response to the latest Mediterranean trial, a Mediterranean diet is better than what most people are consuming, but even better may be a diet based on whole plant foods. Now, this was not a randomized trial, so can't directly be compared to the Lyon study, and included very determined patients. Not everyone is willing to dramatically change their diets, even if it may literally be a matter of life or death.
Limitations aside, we know which diet we'll be eating and promoting to prevent, treat, and reverse heart disease.
This is why I personally think that we should focus on the ethical arguments and even the environmental arguments for veganism if we really want people to give up animal products completely, go vegan.
So you reference Earthlings and Cowspiracy in the majority of the videos you make like we do you?
And of course you link them and other ethics-related videos in the description of every single video you make like we do you?
Nope. Didn't think so.
And regarding your environmental arguments, of course, you would never in any way infer that eating fish would be an option, given that 3/4 of the world's fisheries are exploited or depleted and we could face fishless oceans by 2048.
A well-planned plant-based diet with minimal amounts of meat, particularly if that meat is like fish.
Oops, you just did. Maybe you'd have more credibility if you actually walked your talk.
We feel like we're responding to troll comments from non-vegans under our videos, and we honestly can't believe we're having this discussion with a vegan.
So Unnatural Vegan is suggesting that we shouldn't focus on the decades of research by specialists and pioneers in plant-based nutrition like Drs. Barnard, McDougall, Greger, Esselstyn, Ornish, T. Colin Campbell, Nathan Pritikin, and others.
Showing that some of our leading causes of death, like heart disease, diabetes, some forms of cancer and others, can be prevented, treated, and in some cases even reversed with a low-fat, predominantly or exclusively whole foods, plant-based diet.
You know, the doctors who feature in documentary films like What the Health, Forks Over Knives, Food Choices and others, as well as the books like How Not to Die, The China Study, The Starch Solution, How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, Dr. Neil Barnard's Program for Reversing Diabetes, Whole and others.
You know, all the ones that you share with and encourage all of your non-vegan family members, friends, colleagues and members of the general public to watch and read.
And all because a vegan who infers that fish consumption is not unhealthy tells you that one of the 2 registered dietitians she typically cherry picks from and who shares her anti-low-fat whole foods vegan diet agenda says so?
That sounds logical and rational.
And if we're going to focus on veganism and health, then at least be honest and accurate in our reporting and rely on quality evidence.
Is this the quality evidence you're talking about?
Esselstyn's research is far too limited to make any sort of recommendations on, and his low-fat propaganda directly contradicts the mountains of good quality evidence that have been done on heart disease.
You mean like this?
He's authored a mere 1,387 scientific publications, written more than a dozen textbooks on cardiology, and has been the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology for 25 years.
Or this study by Dr. Dean Ornish, who reversed heart disease with a low-fat diet,
Or Nathan Pritikin's low-fat diet program for reversing heart disease.
which together with Dr. Ornish's low-fat diet program is approved by Medicare.
We guess the US government thought the Ornish and Pritikin low-fat programs were quality evidence and not propaganda after all.
What I consider to be nonsense is Dr. Esselstyn's incessant fear-mongering about fat and olive oil based on very limited research, which is contradicted by far more numerous, better quality evidence. If I am not going to be swayed by extreme minority climate change deniers, I am also not going to be swayed by extreme minority anti-olive oil fear-mongers either. Well said.
So here Unnatural Vegan and the registered dietitian that she cherry picks from attempt to discredit all the plant-based doctors and anyone else who advocates a low-fat, oil-free diet by comparing them to extreme minority climate change deniers.
We say attempt to discredit because the only ones discrediting themselves with this incredibly insulting and juvenile comparison are Unnatural Vegan and the vegan RD Jenny Messina.
Everyone is out to get you. They're talking about veganism because they want to scare people away from veganism. They're talking about veganism because they're really being paid by McDonald's. It seems pretty nutty.
As nutty as having a vegan infer that fish is not unhealthy?
As nutty as having a vegan who thinks that vegans shouldn't focus on health despite studies showing that most people go vegan for health?
As nutty as having a vegan who thinks that if we are going to focus on health, then we shouldn't suggest documentary films that feature or books that are written by plant-based doctors who promote a low-fat, oil-free diet because they're akin to extreme minority climate change deniers?
As nutty as a vegan who actively tries to discredit plant-based doctors and vegan YouTubers who promote a science-backed, low-fat, oil-free, mainly whole foods vegan diet, which helps countless people prevent, treat and even reverse some of our leading causes of death, and in turn saves the lives of animals and improves the health of the environment?
As nutty as that?
Giving cow milk powder to a human baby healthy.
Because it's been fortified with nutrients to mimic human breast milk? Maybe?
Fortifying cow's milk formula with nutrients to mimic human breast milk doesn't necessarily make it healthy.
Cow's milk formula has been linked to colic, obesity, type 1 diabetes, autism, and sudden infant death syndrome.
Just because something is unnatural doesn't mean it's unhealthy.
We didn't say that. We said it's unhealthy because it contains dairy, which is linked to all the health conditions that we just showed.
Are you now going to defend giving babies dairy as well?
The AAP and literally every other pediatric organization and dietetic organization are clear that cow's milk-based formula is appropriate for babies.
Oh wow, You actually are defending dairy.
Appropriate doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy either, given the scientific links between cow's milk formula and diseases. And the AAP has potential conflicts of interest given that 5 of their top 8 corporate sponsors sell cow's milk infant formula.
And as we referenced in our video, so does the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, whose national sponsor is the National Dairy Council.
Oh, it's appropriate, all right. Appropriate for the dairy industry's bottom line.
You know, you really can't quote the experts when it suits you and then ignore them when they say something that doesn't fit with your agenda.
Actually, the reason we always quote the position of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics regarding vegan diets being appropriate for all life stages
Is for one reason and one reason only. Because it emphasises just how healthy a vegan diet can be if an organisation who has conflicts of interest by way of receiving funding from the animal products industry is supporting it.
If we care about saving vegan kids, or any kids, from malnourishment, from malnutrition, we cannot sweep these problems under the rug, no matter how difficult it makes a vegan diet seem.
The despicable inference here is that we don't care about saving vegan kids or any kids from malnourishment or malnutrition, and we just swept problems under the rug.
Talk about character assassination to the max. We actually did the exact opposite of what Unnatural Vegan is accusing us of. Here's the proof.
Go to PCRM. We're going to link some pages down below that specifically help parents with what do they eat during pregnancy, what do they feed their baby and their infant and child at all different stages of their life and development on a plant-based diet.
How many times do you see babies on the internet eating absolute rubbish? You know, there was that one that was eating bacon.
Yeah.
Now, bacon is a class 1 carcinogen, so classified by the World Health Organization.
Now that was a viral video that everyone was applauding as, oh my God, it's so beautiful, how cute, how funny, he's eating bacon, bacon, bacon.
The parents are feeding them a known carcinogen.
Again, can we please stop with the omnivores do it too type of responses? It's not helpful and it comes across as very childish.
No, we won't stop and we don't have to.
And what comes across as childish is your constant snickering and rolling of your eyes.
If you really don't see the difference between a baby eating bacon and maybe possibly getting cancer from it decades later, and a baby literally starving to death, I don't know how to help you.
You can help us by keeping your manipulative nose out of our channel.
If the parent stuck a cigarette in the toddler's mouth and got them hooked on smoking, they may not develop lung cancer for decades to come. So according to you, nobody should have any concern about that. Of course, that would make media headlines, but a baby eating bacon makes a comical viral video instead.
Let's remember that meat is the new tobacco. Both scenarios of both children are dangerous, but one is sensationalized in the media headlines and the other is not. That's biased and it needs to be called out.
Also, that vegan couple promotes a low-fat diet as, this is from their video, the way we were meant to eat.
We've had several requests to make a video detailing the elements of a high-carb, low-fat vegan lifestyle. And so here it is.
So what is it and how do you do it? Well, before we get into the details, we want to mention that this lifestyle is not something new, it's not a fad, it's not something super special. It's simply the way we were meant to eat and live, and it's supported by science. It's the baseline for health.
Which is definitely not what the Academy promotes, neither for adults nor for children. That vegan couple, if you are watching this, please think about how this looks to other people, to people who are not part of your group. It looks like cherry picking. It looks like cherry picking to fit your agenda.
So Unnatural Vegan is projecting massively here. We've shown that her entire video is based on twisting and manipulating our video to fabricate her concerns in order to 1, push her anti-low-fat whole foods vegan diet agenda, for which she continuously cherry picks, and 2, continue to discredit us and other promoters of the diet.
She also makes her agenda crystal clear here by bringing up a video that we made over a year ago and did not refer to at all in our video that she responded to. In fact, we didn't even talk about low fat in our video about the baby at all.
But let's entertain her anyway. As we've already shown in this video, and as we showed in our video that Unnatural Vegan is responding to, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics she refers to has gross conflicts of interest and therefore are not a reliable source.
And the question we should all be asking Unnatural Vegan is why, as a rational person that's supposed to be all about the science, let alone a vegan, are you supporting and promoting the dietary guidelines of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and of the CDC, which come from the USDA, when both the Academy and the USDA's dietary guidelines are financially biased to include animal products? by way of the Academy having animal product industry sponsors and the USDA's mandate to promote sales of animal products.
Shouldn't we be looking to the science?
One way you can tell if animals are natural fulivores or frugivores, meaning leaf eaters or fruit eaters, is to map the area of absorptive mucosa in our gut versus their functional body size. Fulivores are those meant to eat mostly foliage, leaves, while frugivores are better designed to eat fruit. The faunivores eat the fauna, another name for carnivore. If you chart animals out this way, they fall along distinct lines. So where do humans land? Here's our functional body size, and here's our absorptive area. So while eating our greens is important, it appears the natural dietary status of the human species is primarily that of a fruit eater.
And again, according to perhaps the most renowned cardiovascular pathologist in the world, the only diet that can achieve a heart attack-proof cholesterol level without drugs is a low-fat, whole foods vegan diet. And Nathan Pritikin and Drs. Ornish and Esselstyn have reversed heart disease with a low-fat, plant-based diet.
There's only one diet that's ever been proven to reverse heart disease in the majority of patients, a diet centered around whole plant food. So, anytime anyone tries to sell you on some new diet, do me a favor, ask them one simple question. Has it been proven to reverse heart disease? The number one reason you and all your loved ones will die? If the answer is no, why would you even consider it? Only one diet has ever been proven to do that. That's not cherry picking. There's only one cherry.
And instead of trawling through our videos from over a year ago, if Unnatural Vegan had only taken the time to read the references we provided from PCRM in the video she was actually responding to, she would have seen that they note that very young children may need a slightly higher fat intake than adults do.
More importantly, it isn't helpful and it's potentially harmful. Yes, it is awesome that you are promoting the Academy as a source of nutrition, for vegan parents, for their kids. That's awesome. But again, you're also promoting low fat for adults, which is not doing veganism any favors. It's much harder to stick with, and it's less healthy.
It's less healthy than what? Eating fish like you're essentially encouraging people to do? And we're not doing veganism any favors?
Promoting a low-fat, mainly whole foods vegan diet that has been scientifically shown to reverse some of our leading causes of death, like heart disease, type 2 diabetes and others, is potentially harmful? Right.
Again, just because you, Swayze, personally might find it hard to stick with, isn't a justifiable reason for others not to promote it as an option to people who may be looking to prevent, treat and reverse some of our leading causes of death.
No, again, we don't promote the Academy because it's not a reliable source due to its animal product industry sponsors.
We promote PCRM.org and many other plant-based doctors who promote a low-fat, mainly whole foods vegan diet.
Now, we say in so many of our videos that there are as many ways to eat vegan as there are to eat non-vegan.
We personally choose to eat and promote a low-fat, predominantly oil-free, mainly whole foods vegan diet because it makes us feel our best and it's supported by science.
We've tweaked our low-fat diet over the years and these days add flaxseed meal to our meals, nuts to our oatmeal, sesame seeds, avocado when we can get our hands on them, tahini, peanut butter, coconut yogurt, but it's all in moderation and we don't use oil.
However, we encourage people to eat whatever version of a vegan diet is going to help them remain vegan for life, because that is the primary purpose of our channel.
We totally support the vegan alternatives for meat, dairy and eggs. If you want to eat mock meat and other more processed foods, eat them.
Here's the thing, Unnatural Vegan, nobody cares what kind of vegan diet you eat. If eating high fat and more processed food keeps you vegan, keeps you happy and helps you achieve your health and fitness goals, then great.
And we all have a role in this movement. It's great that Unnatural Vegan shows people that eating a higher fat, more processed vegan diet is an option, because not everyone wants to eat a healthier version of a vegan diet.
The problem is that Unnatural Vegan is so blinded by her anti-low fat bias and her high fat dogma that she wants to dictate how other vegans eat and what they promote, and marginalizes healthy low fat vegans.
Now, she likes to dismiss anecdotal evidence, but we're going to listen to our experience over her dogma.
We used to eat a high-fat vegan diet, and my asthma was so bad that I remember jogging on the spot indoors for 30 seconds, and I had the worst asthma attack. I thought I was going to die. I can now run a quarter of a marathon, no coughing, no wheezing, no medication.
On a high-fat vegan diet, my candida was so bad that it seriously affected our intimacy and I could barely exercise from fatigue. I can now run a half marathon and the other problem is fixed too, and it's all because we switched to a low-fat vegan diet.
But in order to be given Unnatural Vegan's non-pseudoscience tick of approval, we should have remained on a high-fat diet and remained sick, on medication, without intimacy, and unfit. Your dogma wants people sick and on medication.
In fact, all these people on the Forks Over Knives website giving their anecdotal stories of getting healthier, losing weight, healing disease, and getting fit on a low-fat whole foods diet are just more pseudoscience. Unnatural Vegan wants these people on a high-fat diet, overweight, sick, and on medication. How dangerous can your dogma be?
The beauty of social media is that people get to see the long-term results of different diets. We're a channel that doesn't just talk about health, we live it. We walk our talk. We show every meal we eat every day on our Snapchat and Instagram stories. We show our exercise and we show our results.
Of course, we have the science to back up the way we eat, but sometimes a picture paints 1,000 words. And this is why anecdotes are so powerful and inspiring, just like the Forks Over Knives testimonials we just showed.
We're approaching 40, and after years of consistently and slowly chipping away, we're now the healthiest and fittest we've ever been, and are inspiring much younger people. That's crazy.
So if people are confused about what version of a vegan diet to eat, all they have to do is look at what the science is saying, and then they can look to people online and see the results of different vegan diets for themselves.
Again, the most important thing is that you remain vegan for life, but if you want to improve your health, then pay attention to people who are applying the science, eating predominantly whole plant foods, and exercising regularly.
The point is, we have confidence talking about health because we are healthy. We practice what we preach.
So I think PCRM has done some really great work when it comes to animal welfare. Their main focus is like animals used in research and in schools and whatnot, and that's really great. But when it comes to their nutrition advice, it's not the best because, like so many, they really focus on low fat. So I would definitely go for the Academy over PCRM for diet advice for children or for adults, or look for vegan dietitians that don't promote low-fat pseudoscience.
Wow, she just will not stop with her anti-low-fat vegan diet propaganda, will she?
Sounds like dogma to us.
Yep.
Isn't she supposed to be rational and non-dogmatic?
By attempting to discredit PCRM as a reliable source for nutritional advice, Unnatural Vegan is yet again attempting to discredit us because we reference them.
And yet, more importantly, it is insulting to PCRM, and it's actually untrue. And again, we say attempting to discredit because the only one discrediting themselves with this insult is Unnatural Vegan.
First of all, unlike the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is a multi-million-dollar corporation and whose national sponsor is the National Dairy Council, PCRM is a non-profit organisation.
And on the About page of their website, 3 of their top 5 priorities are nutrition-focused, not animal rights-focused. And let's not forget their recent year-long campaign to stop industry's efforts to remove cholesterol warnings from the USDA dietary guidelines, which, if gone unchecked, could have endangered the lives of millions of Americans.
As well as their scientifically proven research reversing type 2 diabetes, again one of our leading causes of death, with a low-fat vegan diet.
Let's just be very clear here. Just because Unnatural Vegan has an anti-low-fat vegan diet agenda does not make PCRM's nutrition advice, nor necessarily the advice of other plant-based doctors who promote a low-fat vegan diet, unreliable or pseudoscience.
If they're not supposed to listen to doctors and dietitians because they're all brainwashed by the dairy and meat industries.
Yes, nutritional ignorance is an issue for most doctors, which you can learn more about in this video. And yes, the nutrition advice of most dietitians is influenced by food corporations, which you can learn more about in this video.
And they're being paid by big pharma and...
Yes, most doctors in the US are being paid by big pharma, which you can learn more about in this video.
The other food industries, they're all shills. Why would we listen to them when it comes to our children, when it comes to our children's diet?
Which is why we promote non-profit organisations like nutritionfacts.org and PCRM.org.
And really, why would we listen to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics? Look, they promote cow's milk-based formula, which we all know is unnatural and unsuitable for babies.
Except for baby cows. You can learn more about the potential health risks of cow's milk formula for human babies in these videos.
Gosh, they must be shills for the dairy industry too.
They are.
Really, when I think about it, who can we trust? The only people we can trust are, real trustworthy vegans like that vegan couple.
Do you have any idea how bitchy your tone is right now? You're moving away from the story of the baby that you're apparently so concerned about, and you're letting the audience know that there is probably a personal agenda behind this video of yours.
Everyone can see here that we promoted the nutrition advice recommended by PCRM.
And you know, I saw this video from them the other day where they said that a low-fat vegan diet, it's the diet that we're meant to eat. And I mean, if I'm meant to eat it, well, my baby's meant to eat it too, right?
You mean the video we made over a year ago that wasn't specifically for babies?
Or the one we just made relating specifically to babies, where we referred people to reputable, reliable and trustworthy science-backed sources.
Your manipulation is revolting.
And I mean, the Academy, they say that, oh, plant fats are really, really healthy.
We never said they weren't. You do know that a low-fat, mainly whole foods vegan diet is not a no-fat diet, don't you?
Just in case you weren't aware, all whole plant foods are made of all three macronutrients: carbs, protein, and fat.
And again, if you'd read the PCRM references we linked, you'd have seen that they note that very young children may need a slightly higher fat intake than adults do.
But again, they can't be trusted, so yeah, I guess I'll just feed my baby quinoa milk.
Or they can refer to the reputable, reliable, trustworthy, and science-backed sources we recommended.
For someone that prides themselves on being rational and logical, this video of yours is the antithesis of what you claim you are.
I'm not saying that that vegan couple caused Lucas's death.
No, giving your twisted and manipulative character assassination of us in your video for the last 25 minutes, that's exactly what you're inferring.
I mean, what the hell is going on here? We're practically being accused by another vegan YouTuber of killing a baby because we promote a low-fat, mainly whole foods diet that's supported by science?
And you wonder why we're a little paranoid, Swayze. This would be laughable if it wasn't such a serious claim of slander and defamation of both us and PCRM.
All I'm saying is that it's not too crazy of a leap to think that someone who watches their videos and thinks that a low-fat diet is a species-appropriate diet, or however you want to word it, that they then put that on their child as well, and they end up feeding their child an inadequate diet. That's not that big of a leap to me.
But the nutrition advice recommended by PCRM is adequate.
They are a very reputable, reliable, trustworthy, and science-backed non-profit organisation of 32 years with 12,000 members.
Just because you personally disagree with their advice due to your anti-low-fat vegan diet bias does not mean that their advice is inadequate.
How can't you understand this? The irony here is that PCRM is the organisation that has sued the USDA over dangerous dietary guidelines, and now you're essentially saying that PCRM's nutritional advice is inadequate and could lead to the deaths of babies.
Shame on you, Unnatural Vegan, shame on you.
Another thing, you know, if we care about veganism and promoting veganism and trying to get more people to go vegan, shouldn't we really worry about how this looks to non-vegans, how people who watch this video who aren't vegan, what they're going to think, you know?
In terms of our video, people will learn that a whole foods plant-based diet is the only diet that has been clinically proven to reverse our leading cause of death, heart disease.
That US government dietary guidelines are influenced by the animal products industry, that animal products have been scientifically linked to 14 of the 15 leading causes of death.
A real link exists between the animal products industry and media headlines where vegan and vegetarian diets are smeared, that the healthiest food for a baby is the mother's breast milk,
that cow's milk formula has potential health risks, that bacon is classified as a Class 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization, that even the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, who is sponsored by the animal products industry, supports a well-planned vegan diet for all life stages, including infancy.
That every parent and in fact person needs to be informed about proper nutrition and what reputable, reliable, trustworthy and science-backed non-profit organisations we recommend for more information about proper nutrition.
More importantly, what are non-vegans going to think after watching your video? You've just spent the last 26 minutes baselessly discrediting the nutrition advice of PCRM and vegan YouTubers like us who promote them.
But they will think it's okay to eat fish and dairy. Awesome vegan advocacy.
As vegans, we just need to do better. I think we need to look at ourselves.
You need to take your own advice.
Because we're doing a lot of terrible stuff and promoting a lot of dangerous stuff.
Speak for yourself.
We need to stop promoting pseudoscience like low-fat, high-carb.
No, what veganism and the animals need is for you, Unnatural Vegan, to stop bashing a low-fat, mainly whole foods vegan diet as pseudoscience, when in fact it is supported by science, whether you agree with the sources or not.
The fact that you call it pseudoscience is the antithesis to your claims of being rational and logical.
Most importantly, we need to admit to ourselves that vegan diets have potential problems. We need to know what these are. We need to be open and honest about what they are, and we need to figure out and share with people, how to guard against them.
You mean like this?
Go to PCRM. We're going to link some pages down below that specifically help parents with what do they eat during pregnancy, what do they feed their baby and their infant and child at all different stages of their life and development on a plant-based diet. The problem with someone like Unnatural Vegan is that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. One minute she accuses us of promoting pseudoscience, and then when we refer to a reputable organization, that's not good enough either because she doesn't like the source.
Bottom line, she has an agenda, she likes to argue, and she's neck deep in anti-low-fat vegan diet dogma.
That's the end of our very long response video. Thank you if you've made it to the end. If only Unnatural Vegan spent this much time and energy and effort debunking non-vegans and non-vegan diets.
And she's probably going to make a response video to this video, but we're done. We've spent longer on this video than any other video we've ever made, which is ridiculous because we're responding to another vegan. It does nothing for veganism, animals, people, planet, nothing.
No, I mean, I can guarantee that this is not how we're going to create a vegan world.
That's it, guys. Give the video a like.